6 years ago today, 9 black churchgoers died after a white nationalist opened fire on their Bible study group in downtown Charleston.
Now at 6, how the Lowcountry plans to pay remembrance to the Emmanuel 9. Live 5 News this morning starts right now.
Now, from the Lowcountry's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
Before we get to our coverage of that tragic day in Charleston's history, we want to get a quick check of today's forecast.
Meteorologist Joyce O'Vine says we can expect a break from that rain today, but those hot temperatures, well, they're going to hang around. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, ladies. We're starting out, though, this morning, not with hot temperatures, with pretty comfortable temperatures. We don't get to say that very often in June, but look at all these 60s on the map. As cool as 62 right now in Georgetown, 68 in Mount Pleasant, 70 to 73 degrees out toward our beaches. It's a live view right now overlooking downtown over towards the Ravenel Bridge. A little bit of haze out there this morning, but you can see that sky is clear above. And what that means is lots of sunshine on the way. Should be a beautiful sunrise coming up at 6:12 this morning. We're not expecting any rain for today. As we go into this afternoon, check out Future Tracker, just kind of backing that idea up, not showing any green popping up. And that's rare after a couple of days in a row with some really strong storms in the afternoon and evening hours. Finally getting a break from that. 84 at lunchtime today. We'll go in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees this afternoon with a mostly sunny sky. But switching gears, let's talk tropics. We are watching an area in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Chance of developing into a tropical depression up to 90% now. This has been stationary. We've been watching this area for the past 4 or 5 days. Finally, this moves northward starting tonight and could eventually move our way by the tail end of this weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a couple minutes. Let's talk traffic real quickly here to get you out the door at 6:01. And right now, everything looks good to go. So if you're headed out the door, no reason to rush. I-26 looks good. Somerville, Latson, Goose Creek, North Charleston, all the way to downtown Charleston. This is College Park Road here at 203. Eastbound lanes going away and eastbound lanes going away here. Pretty empty out at Ashley Phosphate, so we'll take that. So the drive times are going to be perfect. 18 minutes Somerville to downtown. We'll give you first alert if there are any accidents that pop up this morning. Michael.
Thank you, Joey. Today we are remembering the 9 black churchgoers that were killed in a mass shooting at Mother Emanuel AME Church. For many family members across the Lowcountry, they forever look at today as the day they lost a loved one. Danielle C. joins us live now from outside the church with how the brother of one of the victims is asking everyone to commemorate this day. Danielle?
Michael, the brother of Cynthia Graham Hurd, who was one of the 9 killed inside this church, says that although today is no doubt a very sad day, he says that he wants the community to remember how his sister lived, not how she died.
Cynthia was just, she was personable, she was sharp, she was candid. She loved the city of Charleston. She loved her co-workers at the Charleston County Library. The library now bears her name. She loved community involvement and literacy and reading.
And the Charleston County Public Library now holds a month-long book drive every June in her honor, and it's happening now. Now, Malcolm Graham says that this is just one of the ways we can remember Cynthia and others who were brutally murdered inside these church walls. He's traveling down here to Charleston from Charlotte to be with her friends and family and others who lost their loved ones inside this church. He also adds the issues of gun control and racism. They still need to be addressed.
Racism still exists, not as blatant as someone going into a church and killing 9 individuals, but it still exists in systems, the political system where people are putting artificial barriers.
There are several events happening around the Lowcountry to commemorate the Emmanuel 9, and there's one event happening today virtually from 6 to 7 o'clock. It's a virtual forum, forgiveness forum. We have all the information that you'll need on our website. Just click on this story. You can register online as well. Live in downtown Charleston, I'm Danielle C., Live 5 News.
All right, thank you, Danielle. Well, the 4th U.S. Circuit of Appeals recently heard arguments to overturn the federal death penalty conviction for the white nationalist behind the Emmanuel Church shooting. Attorneys for Dylan Roof say his sentence can't stand because he was too disconnected from reality to represent himself. Roof went under 2 hearings before his trial. Even if his federal death penalty sentence was successfully appealed, he still faces 9 consecutive sentences of life without parole for pleading guilty to murder charges filed by the state.
The South Carolina Supreme Court is blocking 2 executions set for this month under there we go, the state's updated capital punishment law. The High Court is halting the planned executions of death row inmates Brad Sigmund and Freddie Owens. Sigmund was scheduled to be executed tomorrow and Owens next week. The executions were scheduled less than a month after the passage of a new state law where death row inmates had to choose between electrocution or a firing squad if lethal injection drugs are not available. But Sigmund only had one choice of execution, the electric chair. Prison officials say they still can't get a hold of lethal injection drugs and have yet to put together a firing squad. In a state order, the court says the state's prison agency must develop a firing squad so the inmate has another option. The court says they will not issue another execution notice until a firing squad has been set up.
At their summit in Geneva, Switzerland, President Joe Biden warned Russian President Vladimir Putin that cyber attacks on the U.S. would come with consequences. The two leaders also discussed a number of issues, including arms control and human rights, and they agreed to return their nation's ambassadors to their foreign posts. We will have a live report from our White House correspondent detailing the summit in about 15 minutes.
South Carolina authorities are working to crack a double homicide case in Colleton County, the new hotline they've set up to try to get leads in their investigation.
.609, a quick look at your weather as you get ready to head outside early this morning, maybe for a morning run, taking the dog out. Temperatures in the 60s this morning for many of you. The one exception being right along the coast of the beaches. We're in the low 70s. A little bit cooler this morning. We'll take that. Not as warm and as muggy first thing. Now temperatures will warm up. We'll be in the upper 70s to around 80 by the time we hit 10 o'clock this morning. You can see as we take a look at our afternoon forecast, highs back around 90. So we may start out down a little bit temperature wise, but it's still going to heat up very quickly. Mid 80s out at the beaches. Biggest change today will be in that we expect a mostly sunny sky, and the rain chance is going to be very, very low this afternoon. In fact, I'd say 90, 95, if not 100% of you staying dry. So the rain chance finally catching a little bit of a break. Don't forget, you can always get the forecast on the go by hopping on our Live 5 First Alert weather app. It's free in your app store. We send you updates there. You can get an hourly forecast or tap on there and get a video forecast if that's the way you like it in 30 seconds or less. Let's see how you look with the morning commute this morning. I-26 looking great. Look at all this green on the map. That indicates traffic looking pretty good. It was a messy evening commute yesterday, but we fixed it overnight, and the streets should be mainly dry as you head out the door this morning. Right now starting to get a little bit busier, especially in the eastbound lanes approaching Ashley Phosphate from the 52 connector. And you can see it's getting a little bit busier here approaching the merge. But right now, nothing to get in your way. We're at 18 minutes perfect, Summerville to downtown on I-26 eastbound.
I'm getting new details on a breaking news story I've been following out of North Carolina, where a firefighter has been taken to the hospital while battling an apartment building fire in Charlotte. This is video we are getting from the scene as crews work to get that fire under control. You can see smoke pouring out of the roof. Firefighters say the fire spread to at least 8 units. It's not clear how many people have been impacted. One firefighter was injured with minor burns and has been taken to the hospital. They are expected to be okay. No other injuries have been reported. Crews say the fire started on a top floor back patio, but what sparked it is now under investigation.
The State Law Enforcement Division is taking new steps to try to get more information about a double homicide in Colleton County. They have created a tip line with hopes of piecing together what led up to the deadly shooting of a mother and her son. The agency says it's pursuing all leads in the deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdoch. Colleton County deputies say they were shot multiple times. Their bodies were found last week on their property in a rural part of the county. You are urged to call the number you see on your screen if you have any leads that could help in the investigation. That tip line will be open 24/7. So far, no arrests have been made.
Georgetown County deputies say a second suspect now faces charges in the murder of an elderly man and woman. Investigators with the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office and SLED arrested Alicia Childers yesterday. The Sheriff's Office says her boyfriend Ryan Woodruff was previously arrested and is also facing charges. An investigation started May 22nd when authorities responded to a home on Graham Road. That's where Deborah Goins and Roger Woodruff Sr. were found dead. The relationship between the suspects and victims is still not clear. We're learning more information about the background of a Moncks Corner school resource officer accused of having sex with a 15-year-old student. Live 5 News has obtained Zedric Small's employee file. It shows Smalls was hired last August but quickly ran into issues. He received multiple warnings about leaving his post at Berkeley County Schools and was given a formal reprimand after a Berkeley High School employee reported Smalls for, quote, inappropriate remarks. Now, State Law Enforcement Division arrested Smalls this week on criminal sexual conduct with a minor. He has been fired from the Moncks Corner Police Department as well.
Charleston County deputies arrested 5 people for conspiring to steal dogs from a Johns Island home, while 2 of them impersonated police officers. You're taking a look at the suspects right now on your screen. The group faces a number of charges, including criminal conspiracy, receiving stolen goods, and impersonating an official by threat. Deputies say they found phone messages detailing the plan as well as a script. Officials with the sheriff's office say the dogs were stolen from a home on Whippoorwill Lane back in February. The dogs stolen were a black and white pit bull mix and 4 puppies. According to officials, the dogs are still missing. Call the Charleston County Sheriff's Office if you know anything.
President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin have wrapped up discussions aimed at improving diplomatic relations between the countries. On the other side of the break, our White House correspondent will join us to talk about some of the most memorable moments from that historic chat.
Now, your first alert forecast from Live 5 News.
All right, 6:17 the time right now. The sun rising. What a beautiful shot behind me here as we overlook downtown Charleston, the Ravenel Bridge, Columbus Street Terminal there in downtown right now. The sun coming up as we look across the water there to Mount Pleasant. So a beautiful morning. In fact, let's take a full view and show you the sunrise. How great is that? That's a nice looking start. Equally as nice the temperatures outside this morning. We're starting out in the 60s, now down to 66 degrees at the airport in North Charleston. Humidity down a little bit. Light wind out of the north. We'll take all of those here as we begin our Thursday, catching a little break from the really warm and humid mornings. Temperatures down. You can see for most of us 2, 3, 4, as much as 6 degrees compared to yesterday morning. That's about as good as it gets this time of the year. 63 out the door, Moncks Corner, 63 Georgetown, Goose Creek at 65. We're at 64 in Waldsboro. Along the coast out toward the beaches, about 70 degrees. So we're off and running with what's going to be a gorgeous day. Humidity down a little bit, all sunshine. So the kids out at the playground later this morning. Temperatures will start to warm up and we will wind up around 90 degrees this afternoon. But the biggest change is that we do not have rain in the forecast today. 85, you're headed out to the beaches, a sunny sky, beautiful day there. High tide this afternoon at about 2 o'clock. UV index very, very high. So make sure you do have the sunscreen on or sunburn time today at 15 minutes. A look at radar and future tracker not showing any rain through this afternoon. That's a big change. Past couple of days we've been plagued with those afternoon showers and storms, but as we go into the weekend, we will be watching the potential for some tropical moisture headed our way that could increase the rain chance there as we go into Sunday and Monday especially, and it all lies in what's going on down into the Gulf of Mexico. Tropical system will likely try to develop over the next 24 to 48 hours, come north toward the coast of Texas and Louisiana. The biggest question is, does that moisture eventually make it in here? Right now it looks dry for the next couple of days. We will start to see clouds increase, but still mainly dry on Saturday. That rain chance likely to go up sometime there Sunday or Monday early next week. Quick look at your traffic. We do have a couple of accidents to give you the first alert to that have just popped up on I-26 east of exit 177. Also this one just in I-26 just before 17A. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's between Nexton and 17A, the Somerville exit there. 526 though looking pretty good. This is out of I-26 out towards 17A. It looks okay in that area. We'll keep an eye on it, and then approaching the merge, no delays right now.
I'm following breaking news out of Georgia where a police officer was shot and killed this morning during a traffic stop. The Holly Springs Police Department says the suspect was also killed. The department says they are in the process of notifying the officer's family members and attempting a positive ID of the suspect. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is now on scene, working to learn more.
President Joe Biden is back at the White House following a high-stakes summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Geneva.
White House correspondent John Decker joins us live now from Geneva, Switzerland. And John, President Biden gave Putin a list of infrastructure sectors that need to be off limits to hackers in the wake of recent cyber attacks. Can you tell us what exactly made up that list? Good morning.
Good morning, Aisha. It's nice to be here with you from Geneva. Yes, indeed, a list was presented to Russian President Putin. We learned about that during that post-summit solo press conference given by President Biden. Interestingly enough, Mr. Putin, in his solo press conference, did not mention this list. I think that the list was handed over to the Russian president, and he said, essentially, thank you very much. Mr. Putin has maintained that Russia, the Russian government, is not responsible for any of those infrastructure attacks that have taken place over the past few months, including, as you know so well, that Colonial Pipeline attack that happened a few months ago. However, intelligence in the U.S. indicates that Russian hackers are indeed responsible for this cyber warfare. And so I think this is one of those issues, quite frankly, Aisha, which is going to be a wait-and-see approach to see how Putin reacts in the aftermath of this summit to the warnings that President Biden has given him about the continuation of these cyber attacks.
And John, following their summit, the U.S. and Russia released a joint statement discussing strategic stability between both countries and a commitment to nuclear arms control. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's an important thing, Aisha, and it's important because together the U.S. and Russia control 90% of the world's nuclear weapons. And so when you're talking about stability, when you're talking about predictability, that's a good thing for all citizens around the world. In the past few months, the U.S. and Russia have signed what's called the New START Treaty. It limits and reduces the number of intercontinental ballistic missiles that the U.S. and Russia have aimed at each other. That expires in 5 years, so there was a commitment at this summit to extend it beyond that expiration date.
So much, John. It definitely seems like there's more room for progress to be made in their next meeting.
All right, coming up, millions of Americans are facing a record heat wave, and weather experts say these kinds of conditions are here to stay. We'll take a look at some of the areas across the country dealing with potentially deadly high temperatures. Plus, what new data is showing about improvements in mental health since the start of the pandemic. Right now, more than 40 million people are on alert across the western U.S. for a long-lasting, potentially lethal heat wave. The record-breaking heat wave is forecast to shatter about 300 high-temperature records.
And Palm Springs, California hit 113 degrees yesterday. Yep, 113 after breaking a new record of 120 on Tuesday. And to conserve power, the grid operator in Texas is asking people to keep their thermostat at 78 degrees for the rest of the week.
The National Weather Service tweeted out a warning yesterday saying, quote, "No easy way to say this, so we'll just cut straight to the chase. It's going to be very hot for a very long time." Meteorologist Joyce Sovine joining us now to talk more about those conditions of part of the country. I mean, we thought we were hot here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm grateful now.
Yeah,
right?
you know, we're talking about Phoenix and 110 to 120 for 7 straight days. And wears on you. And you know that old saying, it's a dry heat. No, it's really, really hot out there. For us, catching a little bit of a break, let's take a look at your weather out the door this morning. First 4 hours of today. What a gorgeous sunrise. We will absolutely take that. We're in the 60s this morning, catching a break from the humidity. Those mornings a little bit cooler as well. So if you're a morning runner, really enjoying this right here. But notice by 10 o'clock, we head toward 80 degrees. We'll wind up this afternoon with temperatures near 90 degrees, but the humidity down just a little bit and drier air moving in means that we're going to finally get a break from those afternoon storms. The rain chance very low for today. High temperature there close to 90 degrees. Now tomorrow, still looking at sunshine and a very low chance of rain, but it starts to increase as clouds start to increase over the upcoming weekend. Saturday, I think, is going to be okay. Sunday, big question mark. We're watching a tropical disturbance down in the Gulf of Mexico, which could eventually bring some moisture our way. We'll talk more about about that coming up shortly. Do want to update you with the very latest on the traffic this morning here. If you're headed out, 6:28 the time, just past the Harleyville exit on I-26 eastbound. We do have reported an accident. We're showing all green in all of these areas with the accident. This one just before 17A, I-26 eastbound. So I think we're going to be okay, but just a heads up, there are a few spots with some accidents that most likely over on the shoulder. So no lanes being blocked right now. That's out towards 17A. This is passing Ashley Phosphate. Traffic still very light in those eastbound lanes, and your drive times are going to be perfect as a result. Headed out the door, Somerville to downtown. Quick 19 minutes right now. Aisha.
Well, new this morning, a man in North Charleston has been arrested in connection to a car crash involving two Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officers. Police say just after 3 o'clock yesterday morning, Robert Cortez crashed into a CMPD marked patrol car head on. Two officers were inside. They were both taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Cortez was also taken to the hospital. It was later determined that he was driving under the influence and was impaired. Cortez has since been discharged and taken into custody. He's facing a list of charges.
Charleston City Council is making some changes to a proposed ordinance for street vendors downtown. Council members voted last night to remove the section requiring food trucks and street vendors to stay 100 feet away from restaurants. The original proposal also forced vendors to close down at 1:30 in the morning. That particular rule still stands. Charleston Mayor John Tecklenburg says this ordinance is part of the plan to improve safety downtown, specifically on King Street. Last night was the second reading of the ordinance involving food vendors. It now has to go through a third reading that's set for next month.
The town of Mount Pleasant is getting rid of its water tank on King Street. Town leaders have scheduled its demolition for next month. Mount Pleasant Waterworks stopped using that tank in the 1990s. Since then, it's been serving as a location for antennas for wireless providers. The town's operations manager says the tank is no longer safe to maintain. The water tower will be taken down in mid-July. Now, a temporary tower will be built to make sure self-service is not interrupted. A new grant will help researchers at MUSC test how to reduce vaping among kids. Now, the Hollings Cancer Control Program received a $320,000 grant from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. The funds will be used to help researchers develop a smartphone app to help kids quit vaping. A recent MUSC study found vaping has increased almost 30% from 2011 to 2019. The team hopes the app will address what triggers kids ages 16 to 20 to start vaping in the first place. Work on that app started at the beginning of May. Now, the study is expected to run through April of next year.
A small case study finds a myocarditis-like illness after COVID-19 vaccination resolves in a matter of days. Federal health officials are examining a possible link between the vaccines and the very rare condition. Yesterday's report in the American Heart Association's journal Circulation suggests the condition may be temporary and straightforward to treat. Myocarditis, which is typically the result of a viral infection, causes inflammation in the wall of the heart muscle. It can weaken the heart and cause it to pump irregularly. The 7 patients in that study, men between the ages of 19 and 39, were treated with heart drugs known as beta blockers and anti-inflammatory medication. They were discharged from the hospital within 2 to 4 days. As the country starts to open back up from pandemic restrictions, there are new signs of improving mental health. A Census Bureau survey says adults are feeling less depressed than they were at the height of the pandemic. In the last month, only about 40% of adults said they felt down, depressed, or hopeless. That's down from the more than half who reported feeling the same way in January. Adults under 30 are more likely to battle mental health problems than other age groups, but even in that group, there are improvements. About 56% say they feel depressed, which is down 9% from the peak of the pandemic, but not everyone is seeing a decline. There is a bit of an increase in the households of those who lost jobs during the pandemic.
More precautions are being taken for Boeing 737 MAX planes after they were grounded following 2 deadly crashes, what the FAA is now requiring from the plane company. And bullies beware, a new tool Facebook is testing out to crack down on rude messages in group chats.
6:36 right now on a very comfortable start to our Thursday morning. Temperatures in the 60s for most of you. We'll take that in June. A little break from the humidity as well. Won't last very long, so enjoy while we have it. We're enjoying a beautiful sunrise as we look outside this morning. The radar is going to be much quieter today as you check in. Even if you pop onto our Live 5 First Alert weather app to look at the radar this afternoon, we do expect mainly dry conditions. The rain chance way down today, and we could use a break. We've had lots of storms as of late, but you can see all the way through today showing rain-free conditions on Future Tracker. 84 at noon. We'll go up to about 90 degrees this afternoon. Still on the hot side, just not as humid as kind of the past couple of days, which is the reason why we expect less rainfall this afternoon. Let's show you what's going on with our roads this morning. We are following two accidents right now, one out in Upper Dorchester County, just past the Harleyville exit. This is I-26 eastbound, showing all green in that area. An update of the accident. This is just before now 17A. They've switched and told us that instead of in the eastbound lanes, it's in the westbound lanes just before Somerville, and it is reportedly blocking one lane. We're keeping an eye on that area right now, trying to find that accident. Bring it to you as soon as we show it. But right now, I-26 eastbound, if you're headed in from Somerville to downtown, we're looking good. No accidents there.
Just into the First Alert desk, a container ship carrying chemicals has sunk off the coast of Sri Lanka after burning for a month. You may remember I brought you this First Alert on this ship fire back in May, and now officials are concerned about a possible environmental disaster. The ship was about 10 miles off the coast of Sri Lanka, which is an island country near India. Debris, including burned fiberglass and tons of plastic pellets, have already polluted nearby beaches. There are concerns that a spill of remaining chemicals and oil from the ship could devastate marine life. The government has asked the United Nations and some other countries for help in assessing the damage to the marine environment and coastal areas.
The FAA is mandating additional inspections of Boeing 737 MAX. The public order is actually designed to follow the aircraft manufacturer's own recommendations. The inspections are to make sure the automated flight control systems are operating correctly after a major fix. That is the system Boeing completely overhauled after two crashes that killed 346 people. The crashes forced the 737 MAX fleet to be grounded for nearly 2 years. Most U.S. airlines are already doing those inspections as part of their regular maintenance now. The FAA is hoping airlines in other countries will follow suit. Both the House and the Senate have now passed a bill that would make Juneteenth a new federal holiday. Juneteenth commemorates June the 19th, 1865. That's when the last enslaved African Americans learned they were free. President Joe Biden is expected to sign Juneteenth into law when the measure reaches his desk.
The U.S. Senate is set to vote on the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act today. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he's reached an agreement with Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on the legislation. That bill is supposed to address anti-Asian hate crimes by allowing the Justice Department to respond faster to them. Schumer says he expects that legislation to pass with bipartisan support this week. Lawmakers are working on legislation that calls for various public and private entities to notify the government within a day of a cyber attack. Now, the bipartisan bill is being led by Senators Mark Warner, Marco Rubio, and Susan Collins. Right now, there's no single federal standard for breach notifications, which critics say is leaving the U.S. vulnerable to those hackers. Now, the legislation is expected to apply to U.S. government agencies and federal contractors. It also includes liability protections for those who submit reports.
The Justice Department is releasing more videos used in the Capitol insurrection court cases. The release of videos marks the first public disclosure since a judge ordered prosecutors to release that footage. More than a dozen news outlets have been seeking access to videos used in court against Capitol riot suspects for months. The 4 newly released clips are from the case against Patrick McCaughey. He's accused of assaulting police in a tunnel leading into the Capitol building. McCaughey has pleaded not guilty.
The U.S. Marshal Service is suffering from a lack of staffing. According to a report from the Justice Department's Inspector General, this could prevent officials from properly identifying and stopping potential threats. Now, the Marshal Service is responsible for protecting around 2,700 judges across the country and says inappropriate contact and threats have increased over the past few years. Last year, there was an 81% rise in threats compared to 2016. The report says the service needs 12 1,200 more men and women to deal with the department's overall mission. Facebook has a new sheriff in town, and it's not here to socialize. The company has introduced an artificial intelligence tool which will keep an eye on groups fighting in its forums. Now, here's how it works. If the AI detects unhealthy conversations in the group, it will alert a group administrator who will then take action. The administrator could limit how frequent some group members can post comments and can determine how quickly comments can be made on individual posts. There's a concern about AI doing this work because it sometimes doesn't understand context in posts, but Facebook says the AI tool will use several signals from conversations before alerting administrators.
Well, the woman who used Gorilla Glue on her head now has her own hair care line. Back in February, Tessica Brown went viral after she accidentally used the glue, mistaking it for hairspray. Brown says her products have helped her hair recover since the incident. The company, called Forever Hair, also has clothing for sale with images from that viral video. A new program is addressing the growing need for more affordable housing. What leaders are offering homeowners in a push to bring more living options to the city of Charleston. And we'll have how the Lowcountry is planning to remember the Emanuel 9 6 years after the Charleston church shooting.
Ahead on CBS this morning, the relationship between the U.S. and Russia after yesterday's historic summit. Plus, we take a walk through the neighborhood that inspired In the Heights with the movie's screenwriter. We'll see at 7.
I'm following breaking news out of Georgia, where a police officer was shot and killed this morning during a traffic stop. This is the first time we're getting a look at the scene in Holly Springs, a city about 40 miles north of Atlanta. Police say the suspect was also killed. The Holly Springs Police Department says they are in the process of notifying the officer's family members and attempting a positive ID of the suspect. As you could see there, a number of officers are there on scene. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is also there working to learn more.
All right, let's get a look at your weather here. 6:47 the time as we look live from the South Carolina Aquarium in downtown. A clear sky start, a beautiful sunrise underway on a morning where you're not going to mind heading outdoors. A lot of mornings as of late. It's been really warm and really humid. 66 degrees the temperature right now. Humidity way down. Light wind out of the north. We'll take all of that, and we'll take this as well. Temperatures for most of you down 2, 3, 4 degrees from yesterday morning. Not a huge change, but enough you should be able to notice. 64 Moncks Corner, 64 Georgetown, Alvendale, McClellanville at 67. If you're out for a morning walk or jog or out with the bus stop to the kids to the bus stop this morning, we're in the upper 60s in Mount Pleasant, about 70 out on Johns Island. Temperatures will warm quickly, so get out there and enjoy it early today. We'll be at 83, 84 by lunchtime, and then in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees for this afternoon. Should be a much drier day out to the beaches, 85 sunshine. Sounds like a pretty nice day to be out there. UV index very high today, so make sure you have the sunscreen on. In fact, that UV index all the way up to a 10 today, so our sunburn time's at 15 minutes. Don't forget to reapply. Live Super Doppler Max is quiet. Let me take you through today because this is something we haven't seen in a while. Look, 3, 4, 5 o'clock this afternoon here locally. No rain on future trackers, so it's going to be a drier stretch today, tomorrow as well. Getting a break from those afternoon showers and storms, which have been so widespread and produce a lot of heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning. Well, the rain chance is going to come back sometime this weekend into early next week. The big question mark there is because of this red area here, and that X marks the spot of where the National Hurricane Center is watching for the potential development of a tropical system coming northward towards Texas and Louisiana. Now, we do have to keep an eye on this because we know that weak tropical systems don't really have huge impacts as far as wind or storm surge, but as they come northward, and the computer models all showing this coming northward, they typically produce a lot of rain. So we have to keep an eye on where that rain goes down the road. Now, we do know Friday into Saturday, it's all going to be on the northern Gulf Coast from Louisiana into Alabama and Mississippi. So the rain is there on Saturday. Saturday. Question is, does it start to move in on Sunday? Some computer models say yes, some say no. You can see in this latest run here, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a rain chance perhaps going up. And there's the core of the heavier rainfall here on Future Tracker into Monday. We'll say some computer models are wetter, some are drier. So we're kind of in a wait and see as far as how things unfold. But you can see the forecast core of that heaviest rainfall stretches from the northern Gulf Coast up towards the upstate. But we could be getting in on some heavier pockets of rain into early next week, depending on the exact track of that storm system. Highs today, tomorrow, and on Saturday, all around 90 degrees. Clouds will start to increase as that storm comes northward. Even though the rain is mainly back to the west, we'll start to see some high clouds move in. So increasing clouds on Saturday. Sunday, mostly cloudy. There could be some rain depending on the exact track of that storm. And then early next week could be a little bit on the wet side as well. A look at your roads here at 650. Do want to take you right out to I-26 after we take a look here at 526. Do want to point out, notice just a little bit of slow stretch there approaching Glen McConnell on 526. I'll check in on that. But we do have a slow stretch here. One lane is blocked due to an accident. I-26 westbound right before 17A. So this is as you go from College Park Road approaching 17A. We don't have a camera in that area to share with you, but we do know by traffic sensors that it is getting slow there between College Park Road and 17A. Elsewhere, I-26 starting to slow a little bit at Ashley Phosphate, but right now your drive times look good.
Today marks 6 years since the hate-filled Mother Emanuel AME church shooting where 9 churchgoers were gunned down at the end of Bible study.
Danielle C. joins us live now from the church with how they're remembering those lives lost and how you can join in.
Michael and Aisha, there's been several groups that have stopped by, starting putting flowers outside of the church here. As you can see, there's several flowers already covering this gate, but the main event is happening this afternoon. It's happening from 6 to 7, and it's happening virtually. For the second year in a row, the church will be mostly empty, but the Emanuel 9 Commemoration Committee is hosting a virtual forgiveness forum, like I said, from 6 to 7 tonight. Several panelists are lined up for this event, and they say the goal is to discuss what forgiveness means and its impact on the quality of life and individuals who have been victimized. Now, the church is also set to hold a virtual Emanuel 9 Senior Citizens Luncheon. That one's happening in a few days. It's happening on June 22nd. But like I said, we've already seen several groups of runners come by. They prayed with the pastor. Really beautiful to see out here. But flowers are already out. And for now, live in downtown Charleston, I'm Danielle C., Live 5 News.
Well, one of the daughters of one of the victims of the Charleston church shooting is calling for stronger background checks. 6 years since that tragic day, the loophole that allowed the shooter, Dylan Roof, to buy that gun remains intact.
I want people to understand that even though this dreadful thing happened 6 years ago, we are still dealing with hate crimes, white supremacy is still on the rise, and that this is something that we can't just push aside, that this is something we all have to deal with.
Now, Clyburn's Enhanced Background Checks Act is now in the hands of the Senate for consideration, an act that he says could have stopped the shooter. A memorial for the victims of the Mother Emanuel AME shooting is being built in downtown Charleston. The city has donated $2 million to help pay for its construction. That memorial stands on the grounds of the church, or it will. It will include a courtyard and survivor's garden. The groundbreaking for the memorial is set for this fall and expected to open next year. We will have team coverage all day today for our community remembering the Emanuel 9. Stay with Live 5 News for live coverage from Mother Emanuel AME Church later in our day and nightside newscasts.
The city of Charleston is looking for homeowners to help create more affordable housing. The plan is to offer eligible people funds to build small apartments on their property. Paola Tristan-Ruda tells us more about how this program will work.
The need for affordable housing is growing in the city of Charleston, and leaders say that they are trying to remove barriers so more homes can be built for the people who need it most. Officials have come up with a grant program to roll out a total of $200,000 to 10 interested homeowners, or $20,000 each, that will go towards building accessible dwelling units, or ADUs. That's a tiny home in someone's yard or a garage apartment for no more than 2 people. Once the unit is built, it will be rented out as affordable housing. City leaders say this incentive will not only increase housing availability, but also put affordable housing in some single-family neighborhoods for the first time. City leaders tell me they hope to start accepting applications for this program this summer. In the newsroom, I'm Paola Trisnaruda, Live 5 News.
Well, you still have time to apply for help if you are struggling to pay your rent or utilities in Charleston County. The county received money from the federal government to distribute to people who have been financially impacted by COVID-19. We have a link to the application portal on our website, live5news.com. Just look under the big red box. If you still need help applying for the program, Charleston County has a phone number you can call and leave a message to get help. That phone number is right there on your screen. It will be working Monday through Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Berkeley County reopened its federal emergency rental assistance program this week. The county still has about $5 million left to give out and will get even more money soon. Berkeley County has a hotline for you if you have any questions. It will be available 24/7. You can leave a message and the county will get back to you. You can also apply on the county's government website. We do have all of this information on our own website.
All right, 6:55 right now. An update of your traffic. We're taking a look out at College Park Road. The lanes coming at you, the cars coming at you, those are in the westbound direction. Just past that, there is an accident that is just off to the side of the road. Now, this accident, I-26 westbound, is right around the Royal Road overpass. So heads up there, a little bit slow through that stretch. Just get on over. It's on the shoulder now. It's not blocking any lanes, but emergency responders are out there, so give them some space. Otherwise, our traffic this morning looks great. A look outside this morning, speaking of looking great, how about this view as we look out towards the James Island Connector? A gorgeous, kind of hazy morning as the kids head off to the bus stop. For some of the kids already out for summer, for others, just one of the last couple of days, 64 to 70 degrees this morning. Nice, comfortable start. Head up to around 90 this afternoon. Notice what's not in that forecast today. Rain. Finally a drier day after